All right, we're back. Sovereign Minds, the podcast. It's, I don't know why that cracks me up. February 17th, 2026, and we're down here in the epicenter of freedom at Mountaintop Media. And the title of today's show is, and it's podcast number 166, Jockage and Taxes. Sorry. But when I think of taxes, Jockage is not far off. So we, if you haven't heard about this, go ahead. Can we get that go up a little bit there? How we do? Yeah, go up to the top there. For people who don't know, there's a term, the jock tax, and this is an interesting tax because what they do is they tax professional athletes and entertainers and itinerant workers who earn income while performing services in their jurisdiction. Now, there's quite a few jurisdictions that do this, but California is the one that comes to mind on this because, we just had the Super Bowl. So when we look at this, it's pretty interesting on how it works because this began back in 1991 during the NBA Finals. This was when the Chicago Bulls with Jordan was playing Los Angeles and the Lakers and Magic Johnson and all that stuff. So they adopted this, and I did a little research on ask it who signed this into law. And it's interesting, it really wasn't signed into law. There's no specific jock tax bill that was introduced, and this was or signed by the governor. They just kind of created this out of thin air through policy. In summary, the modern jock tax traces back to California's 1991 enforcement under existing law. No specific law signed by the governor for the action. So they just decided that they were going to do this, and then hit where it says explains Illinois. So then Illinois got the idea that, hey, if you're going to do it, we're doing it too.
Yeah. It's funny, if you read it higher up, it said that it was called the Michael Jordan revenge tax.
Yeah. Yeah, so go all the way back up, and the thing to take note on this is that where's the calculations on the Super? Yeah, right here on the Super Bowl. So this is as of 2026. High profile cases highlights how it can sting. In the Super Bowl, the one we just had, what is that Super Bowl? I don't know.
No one cares.
I know. There, LX. Okay. I don't know what the number is, 48, 49. Players on the winning team received a $178,000 bonus, but some high earners, like the quarterback Sam Darnold, faced California bills exceeding the amount due to pay the due to the day's apportionment in their full salary. So in other words, if they made a lot of money already and they're going to get a $178,000 bonus for going to the Super Bowl, it's actually going to cost them more than the bonus to go to of going to the Super Bowl. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's not taxation without representation. Not signed into law. It's more that you have to pay them more than you're getting.
Right. So it says up here that the duty days include game days, practices, travel, media obligations, team meetings, etc. And so this is the method that they use to decide how much the taxable portion is.
This is a typical method of confuse you till you don't understand it so I can tax you more.
So we make it further into the playoffs. We make it to the Super Bowl. It costs us money. And then the Raiders, who never make it to the playoffs or the Super Bowl ever, they're rolling in it.
Is this not something wrong it's not something wrong when now they're going to the Super Bowl because of the status and everything else and all the perks that they get off of that, the endorsements and all of that stuff. So I'm not feeling sorry for them. But it's how does the government justify taxing you more than you make in any given situation? Isn't that like this is like the 140% tax?
Well, And where was this tax when people like Kaepernick were taking a knee? Like, let's tax them there. You want to
Yeah.
use this platform to do crazy things, then yeah, let's, get some tax money. But you're just a kid who plays football well and you're going to pay to play.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I think this shows the level of insanity, and go ahead and ask it what states have this tax. How many states have the Jock tax? Now, what's interesting here is go back up. States without the Jock tax. Now, there's something here. There's a theme other than Washington. There's one out. Alaska, Florida, Nevada, New Hampshire, South Dakota.
Oh, there's states who love freedom.
Yeah, it's weird. Except for Washington, they don't love freedom. They hate freedom, but evidently they don't like taxes in some different.
Yeah, they like money though.
But look at these states.
Oh, these states all hate freedom.
Isn't that interesting? California, New York,
Yeah.
13%, kind of aggressive, 13.3. New York second with 10.9 and 10.75. Hawaii's at 11. Others like Illinois and Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, they have a lower rate, but the retaliate. I mean, how do you? So you have what do we have in tax wars?
Look at Jock tax was struck down unconstitutional by the Philadelphia or
PA, yeah,
Philadelphia Supreme Court.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Potentially leading to refunds.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're not in that jurisdiction,
No, but that gives you standing. So maybe the crazy states need to go take that court case.
So I guess the question is, would you rather have Jock itch or a Jock tax?
Ew.
I don't know. Is that not the craziest thing you've ever heard?
It's insane.
It's complete insanity. But this is where we're at.
Well, nothing should surprise you anymore.
It really doesn't. But if you were a player, would you want to go to California to play?
Yeah, no.
Any of these places where you get taxed for showing up and playing, and then a lot of these guys decided not to take their salaries, what I'm hearing as well, because it's like, why should I take the salary? I'm working for free, and I'm going to get endorsements and everything else, and I'm making $1 million, and it's not really hurting me at that point. But how crazy is it? And then that's the tip. It's like, why is everybody leaving California? Because they want to tax you no matter what on anything, no matter what you do, in excess of what you make. Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy. All right. So enough of the Jock tax. Let's move on to let's move on to the bread one.
You want to start with Grok or you want to start with the video?
Let's start with the video. Okay. So we I noticed this the other day, and there's a chart. I have the chart of the bread and what it looks like, and how many of the breads show. You can go ahead and maybe dim the sound and get to the skip part. But there's a chart that has how many breads have the glyphosate in it and what it is. So let's listen to their little videotape here. If we can do it. Maybe we can do it commercially interrupted, or you can cut it out later. But let's see what we got.
Florida's Department of Health is testing foods in grocery stores for toxins. After arsenic in candy and pesticides in infant formula, it looked at bread. In 8 breads tested, glyphosate showed up in 6, according to a DOH release. The highest levels were in Sara Lee honey wheat at 191.4 and Nature's Own butter bread at 190.23. Glyphosate is a weed-killing chemical also found in Roundup. EPA calls it not likely carcinogenic. ARC is probably carcinogenic to humans.
So the EPA says, get rid of it. So the EPA says it's not carcinogenic, and I'm not sure what that other organization is, but they say it is. So
So three-letter agency. Do we really care what they think?
not really. I mean, maybe they're going to clean this up, but I got some stats. So on their list that they tested, Nature's Own butter bread, 190 parts per billion, and then what surprised me was Dave's Killer white bread had 11.85 parts per billion, and Dave's Killer it's organic, because supposedly these are both supposed to both be organic. 21 whole grains and seeds, 10.38 parts per billion, which is,
I mean, it's 5% of what's in Sara Lee, but that's still a lot.
My point is that you got to check what you're eating here a little bit, and they're just starting to, and maybe we're starting to see a trend here, because Sara Lee Artisana White, which is, I thought it didn't test, there was nothing in there. It was below the detection limit, which has to be a lot less. I mean, it's very minuscule. And then Pepperidge Farm Farmhouse Hardy White. So you don't know what you're getting. But then we also had the Village Hearth 100% whole wheat, which is supposed to be good for you, testing at 1,000, like way off. It's like 10 times more than the other ones, And same for the whole wheat sandwich bread for Whole Foods.
The healthy food's trying to kill you.
The healthy, yeah. So you got to be careful on what you're getting, if you can. And it seems like we've got to be careful about everything anymore. It's like it's like the food is trying to kill us across the board. But I wanted to at least get this up on the radar, because it kind of surprised me, because we've been eating Dave's Killer bread, and then I'm not eating it anymore. So I'm going to try to get a little more drill down on this and figure out what we can find out. Is that enough to hurt you? I don't know. But what I don't like is the fact that it's kind of not being researched and being made public as to what's happening here. And so you fall victim to stuff you don't even know. So those might be minuscule up at the top, but they're starting to climb up the board when you look at the bottom. And it's like, does anybody want to go to Village Hearth for a whole wheat bread now?
Yeah. Well, and when it's being advertised as organic, right? I mean, we've gotten to the point where there are true organic farmers who are doing a good job and making sure that they're holding all of those standards. And then we've got these people who are playing games. And if you have Roundup being sprayed on your wheat fields,
and is anything
not really.
Is anything free from it at this point, from the overspray, the wind drift, or I don't know. But it's kind of scary across the board. But I wanted to bring this up and just at least get it on the radar for everybody. Yeah. I'm not buying Dave's anymore. It's probably better than buying Pepperidge Farm or Village Hearth, though.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. So what do we got next? Okay. So we got some election stuff here. Now, Nick Shirley, the guy that exposed all the Somali stuff, I just saw this video this morning, I believe it is, and it came out, I'm not sure exactly, came out on the 16th, so yesterday, and it's already had 12 million views.
Wow.
Yeah. So this guy is starting to become kind of popular because, he's just some guy off the streets. I don't even know I don't think he has any journalistic background or anything.
No, he has a team of researchers that do the research, find the stuff, hand it to him, and he's the guy who puts his face on it. And I mean, how do I sign up for that gig? Because that sounds fun. Give me the evidence, and I'll go put my face out there.
I think this is a trend that's going to continue.
I think it is
across the board, because people know that the mainstream meatheads. It's like when I watch Channel 7 in the morning, or Channel 12, or Channel whatever, or even on the internet, if I go to Top News, anything that says Top News, ABC, USA, it's all crap. They don't report anything of value typically. They report some stuff locally and this and that, but they don't report any of the big stories that they should be reporting on. I mean, like, did you see anything about this, the Somali daycare on Channel 7? No.
Well, and that's why people like Nick Shirley are getting so popular, is because those people on mainstream media have lied.
Right.
And
about
they have
everything.
lied to you for so long, right? USA Today did an article where they were given very detailed information, video, everything of a death that happened in the jail under Chad Bianco's watch.
Right.
And they buried the story under 3 other large news things that were coming out.
Right.
And then after burying the story, they made the title something to where nobody's going to click on it. And they kept Chad Bianco's name out all the way until the very bottom. And here is this guy who is picked up on a parole violation charge, who died a very extremely terrible and painful death in Chad Bianco's jail. And then it was covered up and the family was lied to.
It's on both sides of the aisle.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. We just want the truth. We want it all. It reminds me of the gal that came on that, the video, I can't remember her name, it was ABC, NBC, LSD, whatever it was, where she said, we had them. We had the Clintons, we had Epstein, we had it all. And they buried the story because that's what the higher ups. So what you take away from that is there's some very powerful people, entities, corporations, individuals
on both sides of the aisle
that control all of the mainstream news that you're getting, and that's why you're seeing more of this stuff coming out, is because people are tired of it. We want real news, not the dressed up and put a bow on it and tell you what they think you want to hear, or some narrative and thought shaping process that gives you nothing. And that's what we got. So this is about him coming into California, and we're going to see more and more. And of course, the cognitive dissonance of the left is so. These people are crazy, I think. I mean, I can't think of anything else. You can't be that stupid, or they just don't care because they ignore facts on anything that they don't want to hear or they disagree with. I just want the facts. I don't care. I'm not super happy about the whole Epstein thing, but I want to know what happened. If Trump's got a problem there, I want to know it. Okay.
Yeah. And I want people on both sides to go down for it.
I want everybody.
If it means collapsing our whole system.
That's what I was going to say.
Collapse the whole system. Because we need to reset anyway.
Whatever we got to do, this needs to be revealed, because the Bondi's came out and said that they can't go after everybody because the whole system would collapse.
Yeah. Every major chain store, every major bank, every major entertainment industry, every major news organization. Oh, what? The news is involved?
If that's the case, system's going to collapse anyway, because if we are living in such if we're living in such a lie that I mean, you got Satan worshipers, running the show. I mean, is that far-fetched? I don't know. We were like called crazy because we started talking about this 12, 15 years ago about what's going on. What's all this Pizzagate stuff? And how come all these emails that got produced from Hillary and John Podesta and all the creepy, weird stuff in there? And we were told we're just crazy.
Yeah.
So now maybe we're not so crazy, but at the same time.
You mean Satan worshipers like this?
I don't know. I mean, that's not, yeah. Oh, that's probably AI'd and photoshopped, right? Because I don't know.
Because it wouldn't really be them there having a. So, I don't know if it is or not, but
I don't know. And you can't, so you don't know it's real anymore. But I mean, does that shock you?
No, I'm not shocked at all.
So I don't know. Is that true? We got bodies on the floor. We got goats everywhere. They're all dressed in red.
Sacrifices happening by a fire. Like. This isn't ritualistic at all, but I mean, this was a social media post on X where it was talking about Hillary's claiming ignorance on everything, and she didn't know anything was happening.
I'm assuming that this all came out in the Epstein files, and of course, there's, nothing to see there, right?
No, I mean, yeah. Why would you?
Why? Well, yeah. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Wait, you mean Trump wasn't in it? Okay, never mind. We're going to move back on to,
I've yet to see any evidence that Trump actually did anything wrong. If I do, I'll be the first one to report it, but I've seen nothing. I've seen him vindicated. He threw him out of Mar-a-Lago. They were trying to entrap him. I've seen a bunch of stuff that actually exonerates him, but I have seen nothing that incriminates him yet.
Agreed. And I think that is the biggest part of this is you have this whole psyop of people, oh, we're going after it and you're defending a pedophile, and show us, because there is no shortage of information on other people. And it is both sides of the aisle. It's
Yeah, I
everybody
agree.
in entertainment. The Bushes.
But you don't want to
Like-
you don't want to attack the people that are actually fixing the things either if they're fixing stuff. Because they're the ones that get smeared with anything and everything possible. And you can't tell me that with the Democrats in charge for how many years now, I don't know how we got off on this Epstein thing. We're going to go back to the elections, but that they never had anything that they would pull up and leak out on him. I don't believe that.
Well, and they don't want it fixed.
Right.
That's why they are trying to do this whole discrediting thing. That's why, because if it comes out, all of their nonprofits that they funnel money through go down.
That's where I think
All
the real
of
problem is.
their entertainment goes down. All of their mainstream media goes down. That's the problem, is their giant cash cow for corruption is what's going to fail.
That's what
and
needs
I
to
think
happen.
the rest of us are going to be fine.
I think that's what needs to happen anyway. And then I hear this bad mouthing Trump. Did you forget that he took the nuclear thing out of Iran? Did you forget that he just rolled up and black sacked Maduro? I mean, when you start going through in just 1 year what this guy's done, I don't understand how you can turn on him so fast if you're supposed to be a conservative.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, and it does tie back into elections, is how much of this human trafficking and sex slavery and just chaos, craziness ties back into the same system of election fraud. Because what they're doing is they're using the election fraud to keep the people in power.
If there's that much fraud and these guys are that low and that satanic, they wouldn't fix the elections, would they? I mean,
right, to keep from it coming out. Yeah.
So let's get into this. We'll play about 5 minutes and then we'll go talk about that. It'll be
Perfect.
pretty close to the end of the show. But this is Nick Shirley going into California and just asking questions. Go ahead.
We're just looking for these individuals as they're registered to vote here. John Thomas and Philip Thomas. Is Gloria here by chance? Because she's 100 years old and she voted last election from here.
Can you see my? I said I want.
I just want to make sure you're not 126 years old.
No, I'm not.
And do you think it's possible like illegal migrants could be voting?
Do you know where the ballots might have gone? Like for 108 people, that were registered here?
When it comes to fraud, most people think about money. However, there's another potential massive fraud story taking place in America, one tied to the most consequential system in our country, which is our voting system. This has to do with everything about who runs the country and how elections are actually controlled. And if we don't have voter integrity, what even are we? And there's one state that is the breeding ground for potential voting fraud, and that is California, where it can take up to 1 month to count all of the votes, no voter ID, and millions of ballots are cast by mail. And with voter rolls that are extremely vulnerable to errors, such as over 200 people who are over the age of 125 years old registered to vote in certain areas. And now to see how easy it is to vote, I headed to the location to register to vote inside the state of California. Now this is the register of voters right here. And I want to ask them, why don't you need voter ID to vote here inside of California? I was curious, how come in California you don't need voter ID to vote?
Because when you sign your affidavit, you're swearing that you're telling us the truth, and we compare the signature that you put on your application to the
Battery
signature
65%.
Do you think it leaves any room for error with voter ID, or? Yeah, I'm just curious because I want to make sure that our elections are as fair and honest as possible, and I feel like voter ID is just something super simple to have. And do you think it's possible illegal migrants could be voting?
Not really. How? I mean, what's showing the ID?
Yeah, if they don't have their ID and they could just sign on behalf of Richard Sherman, then they could technically vote, right?
They would be right.
Yeah, but what if they just don't care? What if Richard Sherman and Billy Bob Joe just don't care? But so you don't think illegals would ever vote, would you?
I don't think so.
No.
Same.
So instead of showing your ID, you sign your signature and then it is scanned to verify it is you. So technically speaking, anyone could show up saying they are someone, and if the signature is similar, that vote will then count. And with millions of people voting, it leaves room for fraud to occur. Just take these two examples.
A Southern California woman is facing 5 felonies after registering her dog to vote in 2 elections. The dog's vote was even counted in one of those elections. Those behind the stunt say she did it to show the flaws of the current system.
Hundreds of people who cast votes according to state records, but we found they've been dead for years. Including a woman who died in 1988, and records show she somehow voted in 2014, 26 years after she passed away. Then there's Julita Abutin. Records show she voted in Norwalk in 2014, 2012, 2010, and 2008. The only problem is she's buried here at Forest Lawn. Abutin died in 2006. Is it possible your mother voted in 2014?
There's no way.
Abutin's daughter Maravik says it's certainly impossible that her mother voted, but the LA County Registrar confirms they have signed vote-by-mail envelopes with her mother's name for the 2014 and 2012 election, even though she died 10 years ago.
So it's not some crazy conspiracy theory to think that people are illegally voting inside the state of California. And with the state receiving millions of illegal migrants, the opportunities for fraud now are even higher as millions of undocumented people are living inside of the state. Now let's go meet up with a man by the name of Urson, who has dedicated years of his life digging through voter rolls, finding fraud and inconsistencies throughout the state.
So how bad is the voter fraud here in California?
Well, we actually don't know because law enforcement isn't really investigating it, and we don't have people qualified to actually figure that out.
And what kind of fraud is taking place?
Well, we have voter rolls of about 22 to 23 million people in California. And we have, just in Orange County per se, there's 60 to 70,000 changes a month that happens. So the amount of time and effort to go and follow up with every one of those, we just don't have the resources to do that.
And so what information have you been collecting about the voting fraud here in California?
We have people that are still in our rolls from 2008 that are still getting ballots mailed to them that haven't voted in 18, 16 years.
And so if they haven't voted, what's the problem with them receiving those ballots?
Well, sometimes there's votes that happen later on with someone that hasn't lived here for 12 years. And we found several occurrences of that. When we turn that in, those are treated as independent incidences that don't affect the outcome of the election. So they're highly disregarded from our concerns as voters.
And what information do we have right here?
Well, we've got several different pieces that we're looking at today. One thing that's just a simple anomaly for people to understand is there's people that show to be 125 years old in our voter rolls. And that's a simple data flaw, but the issue is it keeps happening over and over again to the tune of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds in every county. That's a large size like where we're at today. Another one is we have a lot of voters that are at central locations, 10, 12, 15 people at a place where what is this business? What is it doing? These people are still going to continue to get ballots. Another one is like a lot of the sororities in the dorm houses, where we have typical turnout, or voter turnout is like in the 50 to 70% range, but it's like 106 out of 108 votes cast. So it doesn't mean that that's fraud, but it means these are out of the normal order of what happens. And so that's what we're going to be going around and looking at today and seeing what's out there and what we can find. We have a system where you can register to vote in California without a driver's license number or social security number. Why do we allow that? That creates 9.6 million records that then the state has to send to the Social Security Administration. And when 75% of those come back with no matching Social Security record, it should make every California wonder, why do we have a system like that?
It's easy. It's easy. Do you know why we have a system like that? Because it maximizes the ability to cheat. No voter ID, no social security number, endless ballots being punched out there. People that are voting that are the voter rolls are out of control. 67,000 or 60,000 changes a month. How do you keep up with it? You vote after the elections. You vote before the elections. There's no end to it. And this is all done on purpose, in my opinion. Absolutely no question about it. They want this like this because they keep getting their people into these places of power. Look at what we got in LA. Look at the mayor. Look at our governor. I mean, the mayor is an incompetent boob. I mean, she just sits there and, and she's obviously a communist. And of course, these elections wouldn't be manipulated by outside influences or anything like, I don't know, other countries or like Dominion systems where the systems were coming in the software from Venezuela. Wow.
Right.
I don't know. We should leave the link. Everybody else can watch the rest of this. I think it's very telling. It's about 23 minutes. And I could go on for days on this, but I think we'll let it go here. What do you think? You're over there yawning.
I'm not yawning. I'm good.
So I think that's it for today. And I guess did I get the date in? It's February 17th, 2026. I don't know if I said that before. But it's government is not reason. It is not eloquence. It is force. A force like fire is a dangerous servant and a fearful master. And hey.
See you next time.
On the next one.
All right. These headphones are stupid.
Huh?
I said these headphones are stupid.
It's the only way you can tell your voice, though. If you don't have them there, you can't tell if you're not up against it enough to make sure that they're hearing you talk.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop on that.
Okay. I got to go back and have lunch and go to work.